Skyborn elves and big Hinterlands update leaks. Look, the Skyborn elves, I've been seeing a lot about this. There's some data mine items. I'm sure he's going to get into that. He says models data mined here on the title screen. Interestingly enough, the Hinterlands thing is what really piques my interest because I love what Blizzard did with the upper half of Eastern Kingdoms, and I want them to revamp more of the world in that way. What I like about it is it really still feels like Eversong, or I should say, Eversong Woods. It still feels like Silvermoon. It still feels like the Amani Trolllands and Zulaman and all that. It's just updated. It's not cataclysmed and destroyed and unrecognizable. What they did with the upper half of Eastern Kingdoms, to me, has been great. I love it. It's well received by the player base, and I want to see them do that with more of Azeroth. So let's see what's going to go on here with these Skyborn elves and the Hinterlands.
So, remember the Skyborn elves that everyone has been talking about lately? Well, that story just got 2 times more interesting as just like a week or two back, we data mined a whole bunch of new and likely related stuff. A whole bunch of Hinterlands hints out of all the places, which is not related to anything in Quotalas, but we also discovered high elven outposts outside of Quotalas. We discovered a whole bunch of griffins, wildhammer dwarven NPCs, so something is definitely going on with this. But how does this all make sense? Are we going into the Hinterlands? Are we going to discover like the griffin riding high elves that are druids? Let's look at all the hints we currently have and that we know, because there is so much stuff to currently unpack. If you're classic, especially hardcore, there is the perfect survival guide with rested XP. It gives you the safest routes, hostile enemy warnings, and now even with TBC hardcore, it will be 100% optimized for straight survival, amongst getting the absolute best, most optimal routes and information. Furthermore, rested XP offers midnight guides too, but best of all, if you use my link below, you will get 10% off your order immediately. So check out rested XP. So, if you guys watched my video about 2 weeks back, I talked about the Skyborn elves and everything we know about them, and just about 10 days ago, we got a whole bunch of new hints that we'll get into immediately, as there is a whole lot of data mined strings and NPCs that I think are kind of related to this. So, for the Skyborn elf stuff, actually, this was...
I actually thought the Skyborn elf stuff was classic. I thought it was like Classic Plus related, but it looks like he's saying this is Midnight related stuff now, or at least retail related.
It's interesting because we data mined some banners. This was about a few months back, and we've seen these banners that we had never seen before that mention Midnight and High Elves. So it's related to current content.
Okay, it looks like I literally just pre-watched this because I said I thought it was classic, and here he is telling us it's Midnight 2 seconds later. But that's just because that's where my mind went. And yeah, so it looks like these are actually Midnight related items. This looks like a decor item, honestly. So a lot of this looks like, what if this is all just decor items? What if all this excitement's for nothing and this all just turns out to be, hey, it's actually a Hearthsteel, elven package. Buy the Hearthsteel elven package. That's right. Oh, man. That would be sad. Damn, look at this. We got like a elven unicorn mount down here. What the hell is this? High Elf Scout. Okay. Oh, this is fans concept. Now I just got fucking duped.
We had furthermore data mined a Skyborn Windwell.
These are real,
something we had never seen before. It was like a mix of a night elven moonwell, but with a bit of a nature elven aesthetic, but it seems to be giving like this flying wind energy. And then further, we discovered a brand new high elven bow that is themed with this Skyborn banner as well. This kind of bow matches this color scheme and aesthetic, but it also matches the general high elven ranger bows, which makes this even more interesting. This was initially very suspicious because we had not heard of these elves before, and it seems like a really unique concept, like a mix between druidic night elves.
This is one thing though Blizzard keeps doing that's really weird to me, is like, okay, people wanted like proper high elves with like tattoos and everything. They wanted to be able to make a high elf in the game. And instead, Blizzard just gave blue eye customizations and regular skin to void elves. They were like, okay, fine, we're not going to give you high elves, but here, take these customization options. You can RP as a high elf basically while playing a void elf. And fine, I guess that's whatever. I would have liked some more customization options, maybe like some Giga Chad chins, kind of like Lorthamar has, because Lorthamar has like a unique facial model for an elf. So you could have given some more stuff like that and let us create proper high elves. But whatever, it is what it is. I get it. Everyone's like, oh, we have too many elves in the game. But then Blizzard turns around and does shit like this, where they give you another elven race that's not high elves. They just like make a new one. I understand Skyborn elves. I think they were around in the RTS version of the game and stuff. So like there is lore behind them, But why? What the hell? Who was asking for these guys? People asked for high elves, and you're going to give them another elven race. I don't know. It's kind of like with the Zandalari trolls. You got the Haranir, but you could have just made Zandalari trolls the guys, and that people would have been excited about that. You only play human. This is true. I'm speaking for the people. As a man of the people, I speak for the people. Of course, I'm only going to play human. That's what I am. IRP is that in real life too. But I speak for the people, and I know a lot of people wanted that. Same with the what are they called? The dwarves that ride on griffins all the time. Oh God, they're from the Hinterlands. Oh man, I can't remember. People wanted proper versions of those guys too. And instead, we got just that customization option for dwarves where you could put tattoos on your regular dwarves. It would have been cool to get like bulkier boys. Yeah, wildhammer dwarves. Yep, exactly. I think they could have added more customization, made them look a little bit different, and had wildhammer dwarves in the game. But instead, it's just a customization option again.
And arcane high elves, and it made a lot of
Blizzard
sense.
doesn't. I've said this before. Blizzard doesn't like easy wins. They just don't. They totally shun them away.
Because lately, Blizzard has been pushing Blood Elven druidism and also like reunion of all the scattered elven tribes that they said won't be done now. We did get that cinematic that was very anticlimactic, but they did say in previous interviews that the elven reunion will happen in stages. It won't just be done in a single patch, and we might even see more of it in the Last Titan. So this could just be another part of the story that they had started of all this like scattered elven factions uniting together in this time of need to defend the motherland Quel'Thalas. But the community predicted that these elves are maybe like nature-oriented high elves, potentially from 12.1 on that troll isle that we will go to, that have split from the original group in Quel'Thalas, and they may have been living there, but now I want to cover brand new evidence.
So these are like naturistic elves. These guys. So, I mean, where the hell? I mean, I guess if there's an expansion, you're going to find new elves. It would be this one because they were all supposed to unite to save the Sunwell. But these guys are kind of late. I mean, imagine they show up now. They're like, hey, what's up, guys? We heard the Sunwell was in trouble. And they're like, yeah, we fixed it, man. It's the Dawnwell now. Where the fuck were you? And these guys are like tree elves. They're like, oh, sorry. We were on our way here. We saw some crazy shit in the forest, started smoking it. We got high as fuck. My bad. So we're done here? All right, cool. We'll see you guys later. Back into the forest, boys.
From 12.0.7 is we got an absolute ton of data mine strings, and I mean a whole bunch that give a whole lot of new context on what is actually going on.
Yeah, see, Wildhammer. We got Wildhammer dwarves in here too. 12.0.7. Hinterlands added Wildhammer dwarves. What the hell is this? There's no Wildhammer shit going on. Maybe they're already starting to... Sometimes Blizzard puts shit into patches for later patches. Like it gets uploaded in the game, but it's not yet like available. They just put it in.
We got a whole lot of Hinterlands hints.
They just put it in, but they don't finish. You know what I mean? They just put it in, but they don't finish.
And a few elven lodges that I think are entirely related to this. I mean, some of the evidence kind of matches this storyline perfectly. Also, I somehow feel like this could be related to that rumored Dwarven Kingdom of Northrond that we had gotten prior to the midnight announcement from some data mined items that should be somewhere around this area. It was never really defined by the lore. Originally, we thought this could be a big part of Midnight, but I digress. So, we first data mined the Quill-Lithian Lodge, which was like this Farstrider camp of the High Elves that Lord Temar himself visited. That was relevant by the Second War and was damaged significantly during the Scourge invasion, but this is around the entrance of Quel'Thalas, like an outpost. However, the more interesting evidence that we data mined in this new patch is the Quel'Danil Lodge near the Airy Peak in the Hinterlands, which is actually quite a bit far away from what is currently going on. And when I say we data mined, I mean we data mined a whole bunch of new NPCs. Surprisingly, a big amount of this makes this relevant. I mean, it's not like some single...
Hythane Airy Peak, he's shown this image again, added 12.0.7. Owner of Skyreen, Egan Firebeard. What the hell is this? So Firebeard sounds like a dwarf, though. Frosthammer, Hammerack, a Wildhammer dwarf we hadn't seen or heard of. Hammerack, okay. This all seems very Quel'Danil. Danil, a short bow, a quiver, so a bunch of Quel'Danil related items. That's what they're calling them. And then Quill-Lithian, a hawk spear and a dawn shield. Okay.
seen. I'm talking about your wildhammer dwarves and their
Yeah, there's a lot of
griffins as well,
wildhammer
as
shit,
well as
yeah.
high elven stuff. And let me just brief you real quick on what Quel'Danil is, because I think this kind of ties in perfectly with everything. So the Quel'Danil Lodge is essentially an old outpost of the high elves, and the original high elves, not blood elves, that was built all the way in the hinterlands where the trolls are,
Okay,
quite
so
a
that's
bit
what
further away
Quel'Danil
from
is.
Quel'Thalas. Back in classic, High Vale were very relevant, High Vale high elves who were not a part of the Horde, but the Alliance, and they can actually allied with the local wildhammer dwarves that are notable for their griffin riding
Okay.
skills as well as their connection with the nature. Now, when we combine this
Okay, so these elves hooked up with the wildhammer dwarves, maybe literally and figuratively, who knows these days, and they learned about more griffin-y, nature-y shit. That's what these guys are all about. Because that's one thing about the wildhammer dwarves is they're less about like gold and digging into mountains and shit. And they're more about living in the nature. That's kind of the wildhammer dwarf rate, and riding griffins. Obviously, that's their thing. So these elves, I guess, got to know these wildhammer dwarves as an offshoot of the high elves and became more naturistic. Now, one thing this could lead into, and if he says this soon in the video, it's going to look like a super pre-watch at this point. But we've talked a lot about elf druids, like high elf druids, and what those could look like. And could we get more druid races? And could the high elves be the next druid race or the blood elf? People have said, but blood elves as druids don't make as much sense. They're almost anti-nature blood elves, and that's their story. That's their background. They literally left the night elves because they were in arcane magic. They didn't want to deal with nature anymore. But these guys, as an offshoot of the high elves, could certainly be, a way into, hey, we got some high elf models with some new druid forms.
the Skyborn elf stuff, I don't know. I mean, to me, everything kind of matches perfectly. From the lore, these guys were attacked by the Forsaken in Cataclysm, and they apparently stopped practicing magic, but they're a very unique group of high elves, unlike any we had previously seen. Now, here we have some interesting options that are going to come, and this is what I talked about in the previous video, like these guys rejoining Quel'Thalas and the Horde and the playable high elves through this version of the high elves. The initial datamine information was a windwell related to flying and also that flag that seemed to fit this windwell as well. So the Skyborn elves could be like this symbiosis created in the Hinterlands of this like sophisticated arcane using elves and fast riders that allied with more nature and riding oriented wildhammer dwarves that ultimately turned to wind riding as well. So it's like a really weird mix. The aesthetic of the datamine, the windwell, was in particular very interesting.
Yeah, and this is one thing that, this is like a typical fantasy trope, like these, forest elves. And World of Warcraft doesn't really have that. We have the night elves, who would, I guess, be considered forest elves, but we don't have like your classic fantasy, pale-skinned looking elves, like Robin Hood-esque with the pointy ears and running through the forest shooting arrows and shit. We don't really have that. And that's what these guys would kind of cover.
Because it isn't like anything we had seen before related to high elves and their architecture. So I'm talking like we might be seeing these griffin riding elves that are dressed like wildhammer dwarves, if you know what I mean. The real question though is, how does this really tie in with 12.1? Because we already data mined the campaign, we know the whole story is related to Atal Utek, the troll isle off the coast of Zulaman, and we know the majority of the main questline is with this like old...
He thinks this could be a 12.1 thing. What if we got playable... It's a bad prediction because it's not going to happen. What if the Horde got playable Amani trolls and the Alliance gets these guys? Hey, I mean, there used to be a time when, yes, new races were faction-based, and we haven't really had that since now BFA was the last time we got faction-based races. What if that's what we get? Right? If they give the Amani Trolls to the Horde, which I would assume that's who they would join. I don't know. They hate Blood Elves, though, so maybe they don't. Maybe they go Alliance. I have no idea. But if they do go Horde, what if we get these guys on the Alliance side? Could be it. I mean, it kind of makes sense, but I don't know how they'd explain it. Yeah, they've just been hiding in the forest, getting high all these years.
Loa that once defeated the old God Catraxi general, like this hidden power, potentially some old God stuff, with some potential with fell magic, but that is speculation, of course. This doesn't...
Alliance Trolls? I know it sounds like blasphemy, right? But hey, I mean, we have Horde Dwarves now, technically. Right? I mean, the Earthen can be on the Horde, so hey, no line is too thick to cross anymore.
Really tie in any way with the Hinterlands unless these guys come in riding on their griffins to save the day and to join in the defense of Quel'Thalas. So either something is connected to this, or this is going to be like a minor patch after 12.1, because 12.1.5 is very likely related to Undercity and Lordran. This Skyborn stuff was data mined months back, probably like 3 or 4 months ago, and this new wildhammer stuff was discovered just about 2 weeks ago, so there is definitely some development that is going on. It could be an interesting angle and an interesting take of the High Elves as well. Even if they do become playable, they're not necessarily a new race or anything crazy worth mentioning, but it could just be a customization options to make the elves more diverse. It could also be an introduction to the elven druids that I mentioned at the start of the video. I mean,
there it is. Elven druids. Yeah, there you go. Pre-watch.
Last year, we have seen a lot of hints of elves getting druidism, like blood elf druidism, and I've covered this as well. We data mined some lynxes that seem to have been flagged as a druid cat form that we hadn't seen before, and we had seen something akin to
more
blood
bears
elven
running
druids
around,
healing the dead
30-man bear
and
raids,
reconnecting with nature, and also giving us dialogue of how they want to reconnect with the ancient forests of Quel'Thalas. This group of high elves that turn to the more nature side of things could be the missing link, and the way the blood elves could get their own form of druidism that is kind of race specific. It could be a very interesting story of getting like these new elves and their storyline, and then ultimate.
This is nothing but a bunch of trading post items. That's what Artemis said in chat, but you could be right. I mean, I said those other items, I'm like, those could just be Hearthsteel decor for all we know. There's so many like ways Blizzard just makes aesthetical items that now you never know. Before, when shit used to get put in the game, there was always a lore-based reason for it. Now it's like, well, it could just be part of the, the new whatever Valentine's Day event. We don't know. It's just a trading post item, Hearthsteel item. There's so many things now that are just aesthetics based that have no basis for being in the game other than that. So this could be that, yeah.
Adding druids, as Blizzard did promise initially as well that they plan to significantly expand the race class combos, and they have been doing this stuff for years. So far, there is quite a bit of evidence, and I think we're going to get something concrete very soon. I mean, 12.1 is just around the corner any day now, and the last Titan announcement is happening in like 3 months from this video, so soon it won't just be speculations.
Yeah, a lot of you guys in chat are saying that this could just be like a customization unlock. Totally, I could totally see that. We could play through a quest line where we get to know these guys, and then you unlock the ability to basically like have tattoos on your void elf / blood elf models. That could totally be it too.
Thanks for watching. Check out who could really be the final boss of Midnight by clicking on the screen, and subscribe to my brand new Witcher lore channel that recently opened by clicking on the screen as well. See you next time.
Interesting video from Doran. Interesting stuff data mined here. I really did think this was like Classic Plus based. When they first brought these high elf or whatever, Sky Elves up. But hey, I mean, it looks like there's a lot of Midnight stuff based on it too. So we'll see if it's just decor items or it's actually a real thing. The older races, Arcanimus says, need more customization options. I agree. I totally agree. I would love to see more customization options on my humans. No doubt. Some of the base races, like more orc ones, more human ones, more Tauren ones. I would love to. We've gotten a few more since they upgraded the models and everything, but I would like to see, like, to the level of the new races, they're nowhere near. There's nowhere near the customization options that the new ones have. So that would be cool, yeah, if we got more of that for sure. Nice video, though, overall from Doran.